At some point, I want to talk to you about this 8-step process that distilled out of EP7 after probably a good several years of EP7. I started to notice that while I was talking about principles and while I was doing deconstruct, reconstruct, there was a process there that was quite elegant that I hadn't pinned down properly. And it was only until I noticed people outsmarting the deconstruct, reconstruct that I thought, what is going on here? How are they doing that? And how can I make them conscious of them doing that? And I discovered this 8-step process. And so I want to share this with you quickly because I think that if you're conscious of this 8-step process, you will love wherever you are, however you engage, because it's flawless in how it helps you.
What?
I know. Talk about biohacking.
What is this?
Biohacking.
Wait,
All right.
what is this out of the? Is this in part of the EP7 or is it outside?
No. I should add it as a module to EP7, but it's in the future perception management operating system.
What is this 8-step process?
Yeah, 8-step process is this. Are you ready?
Yeah. So wait, what does this do again?
It helps you be in any situation and understand it deeply, create a sustainable value exchange in a solution, and stay resilient even in the absurd situations of people being irrational. Because if you're not empowered enough to handle the absurd, you're not empowered.
Right.
Because absurdity is here for good.
Right.
You got to make peace with the absurdity.
Got it.
Irrational, including, when life throws so many obstacles at you, perfect storms, like suddenly, a cyclone and then suddenly, crypto collapses and you're deep into it and all things can happen and suddenly you lose a loved one who's close. And all of that happens in like a week. Mm-hmm. Like seriously, as if that's fair. Well, it's not. And life's not fair. So you got to be able to follow a process to keep the power in you.
Right. So this is what it does.
To keep navigating the absurd.
Okay.
So you come out the other side knowing you're proud of how you're being. All right, you ready?
I'm ready, man.
Number 1, connect fully. Be an observer. Be a sponge. Suspend all judgment. Take in your environment. Because if you're not informed, you have no foundation to get anywhere you want to get to.
So hard to do.
Exactly. It is hard because the brain is going to bug you and go, no, I know what's going on here with the partial data we've already collected. Let me jump to 32 conclusions
about this person
to send us on the same trajectory you always do that keeps us the same way.
Okay.
I don't know why I spoke like that. That was very disrespectful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so connect fully. But it's true. Your first reaction is what most people go, bloody hell, connect fully,
Yeah.
But it does take humility. It does take curiosity and awareness that there's always more data than the data you are decoding. Yeah, look, he's closing his eyes. For those of you not watching.
I was going to use the word patience, but you're right. Curiosity sounds better.
Yeah. But patience is not about sitting on your hands and hoping things will sort themselves out. Patience is a process, believing in a process that if you follow the steps, you'll get the reward. But let the mango ripen. Stop chucking tantrums around the green mango.
I love mangoes.
I know. And I've learned recently that mangoes green are delicious as well. So it's like, oh my God. So much abundance in process.
Yes.
Anyway, connect fully.
Connect fully.
So why did you connect fully? As a foundation, it's to understand first. Before you do anything, understand it first. Stop being trigger happy, trying to be understood prematurely. If you don't know what you're dealing with, how do you know what parts of you is relevant to be understood? Mm-hmm. So just understand first, right? It's a beautiful way to serve, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's actually quite noble to say, I'm going to serve you. I'm just going to understand first. But you can't understand first if you're not suspending judgment and assumptions by connecting fully. Step number 3, understand well. Don't just understand first and then hop off thinking you've worked it out prematurely. Stay there longer, absorb more, ask more questions. Try to see how everything interconnects, because you will hit genuine ahas that are outside of your original presumptions. Understand well is the discipline of true critical thinking. Go there, go deeper, because you will leverage a much more effective direction if you collect more data and see it interconnect. So understand well.
Okay, I'm going to do a practical application at the end, but okay, continue.
Yeah. Step number 4, repeat the first 3 steps on you. Now that you understand that situation, connect fully to you. Where are you at with it? Be a sponge to your feelings, your thoughts, your assumptions. What prejudices do you have?
Right.
Where are your values and purpose in that situation? Understand well. Understand now for you first before you launch into a solution, and then understand well where you're at, because how are you going to get to step 5 and create a solution if you don't know what you're dealing with properly and you don't know where you're at with what you stand for properly and where you might be even compromising your own perception that needs solving?
Mm-hmm.
So then you get to step 5 and now you're in a position to create a solution.
Okay.
But can you see that the first 4 steps are rarely done properly on a good day?
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? So already you're miles ahead from steps 1 to get to 5, which we all want solutions. We all try to come up with solutions and we wonder why they're not as effective and lasting, right? So then you do the solution, right?
Okay.
Then when you create a solution, you don't know how practical it's going to be until you go to implement it.
Right.
So don't live in the solution for too long. You've already informed yourself enough and you understand what you're dealing with. Come up with something that represents that insight, but now get ready to implement it and start the implementation process, because what will happen is you'll expose everything missing from that solution that prevents it from being implemented, so you can finish the solution and make it practical. And you repeat the process. So now, if you're struggling to make it practical, connect fully, understand first, understand well why it's not practical. And then check in with where you're at with how you're complicit in its lack of impracticality, and then revise the solution with improve it so it's practical for implementation.
Okay.
Then you implement it.
Yep.
Step 6 is you're implementing it. Step 7 is allow for obstacles, because no one's perfect, no solution's necessarily perfect, and the world is dynamic and changing. What you just implemented might be now subjected to further changes, or you miss stuff. And so now the world will let you know what you missed.
Right.
Because the solution's impact and the anticipated value of that solution is on show. And if it's only partial, you get to repeat the process, connect fully to the obstacle that's ruining the solution, and understand it first, understand it well, tune into yourself, and then come at it and get ready to revise the solution again beyond the obstacle. Step 8, remain responsible. It does not matter that you did a good job. It does not matter it was a great solution. It doesn't matter you were so logical, so creative with good ideas, because then the world might just pull the rug from underneath you, and everything that should have worked out fine has now been flipped on its head because of a new emerging technology that's outdated half of what you're trying to do, or people who were around that said they'll do their part, suddenly perfect storms knocked them out and they can't deliver what they said they would.
Yep.
So many things can go wrong that are outside of getting it right.
Yeah.
Get ready for it. Repeat the process on it. Renegotiate with people, find other people that are that need to be a part of it, update it with whatever tech you've discovered needs addressing, and go again.
So this applies in which scenario specifically? Wait, there's 3 scenarios, okay?
Yeah.
So the first is when everything goes to hell. Like you said, you know, your parents die, whatever, everything just goes to hell. You know, you get fired. So that's one. And then the other one
No,
is...
what I'm saying is the process is designed so that if that does happen, the process helps you through it.
Helps you through it. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's one scenario will help you through. What about dealing with people who are difficult? Like, same?
Connect fully.
Okay, let's go into an example there.
Yeah.
Let's say I had this one guy. He loves Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And, you know, he raves about Donald Trump being a messiah for Jesus.
That's very triggering. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's, you know, all of these things. And he says, oh, you know, he's great that he's there, you know.
Sounds like toxic positivity, but keep going.
But it's very interesting because he is so adamant. And so he keeps ranting about how great Trump is and how he's, you know, he's a messiah because he, even though he, then he gave me an example of this prophet who, not prophet, but someone important back in the day who had prostitutes around him as well. And he turned out to be a messenger for God. And I was like, really? You really want to go down to that level? And then, you know, and then I don't even want to engage because I don't want to. So in that scenario, I always, for me to, so for you, it's curiosity and wanting to understand this person. For me, it's what will make me feel good in this moment. So I ask him questions like, so what else do you like about Trump? I have to admit, he is able to pivot and he's able to like ricochet a lot of these things. That takes a lot of skill. So I start to look at things that I like and we can bounce off each other based on those characteristics. But when it's coming to talking about him being the Messiah and, you know, they'd rather him be in the office even though he paid hush money and he's, you know, bullying people and bullying countries with the tariffs and all that. And it's really interesting. Like, how do I even care about or want to, I don't want to change his perception, but I just want to, I don't even know how to deal with this person. I just want to shut off. For me, like I said, I'll turn my boat, let go get something else.
But that might be a genuine solution for you.
Right.
You see, if you connected fully to someone and you looked at why they are operating the way they are, why they are believing what they do, and you asked enough questions so you understood first, why is he so enamored by Trump and, you know, and then you stay there long enough, right?
Really?
Right, you stay there.
So you hear this person say, because he's the truth, you know, he just calls the bullshit as it is, and this person will just keep going on.
Yeah, but the point is, your curiosity will direct it where you're trying to understand where does this all hang together.
Right.
Because you always want to be curious. What makes someone hold on to a position so consistently?
Right.
I'm fascinated by that.
Regardless of whatever this person does.
Exactly. I'm fascinated by that. You're not. But you're allowed not to be.
Right.
So you're allowed to get to a point where you go, oh, this person is interested into believing that someone's all good and that they are like a messiah when I don't buy that Kool-Aid and I don't even care about why they believe that. So I'm just going to, where am I? Well, I'm at a situation, so this is up to step 4 now, right?
Oh, where am I at? Yep,
yeah,
okay, I understand.
where am I at? I'm in a situation where I'll let bygones be bygones. People believe things that are ridiculous, and I just don't care. I just don't care. I just don't agree with them, and I don't need the bullshit confrontation because their perception is so distorted. They just want to be absolute, and I have to be wrong, and I have to be right about something so extreme that doesn't even make sense to me. So I'm just going to be strategically clever in my solution of changing the subject and maybe getting out of that situation. That might be your legitimate solution, right? But you decide that based on your values, your purpose. Now, if that person was really important to you and they're in your life in a very, you know, substantial way, you may choose to invest to go deeper because you know that you both have enough in common.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That they're worth the investment to balance them. And then maybe they'll balance you a little bit because Trump is not all bad and he's not all good. Yeah. So anyone who tries to push any of those extremes is starting to compromise their perception.
Right. So, okay. So what's step 6, 7, 8 then? Where does that come in?
So your solution will deliver.
Right.
But if it's not delivering, if suddenly there are obstacles, like he keeps bringing that up, even though you've changed the subject, then you have to come up with another solution.
Right. Keep searching.
And you might tune into yourself and go, all right, where am I at? Well, I want to stay compassionate to this guy. I don't want to be rude.
What do I want to show up as?
Yeah, exactly. What are my values? What are my purpose? And also, how am I being triggered here? Am I thinking Trump is all bad and that's why it's triggering so much?
Am I on a pedestal?
Yeah. You might actually check in with that and go, I don't want that crap. That's not me. And then suddenly you transform yourself and you become different with him.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And then you try that approach where you slow down, you stop being so tense and judgmental, and he feels your energy of warmth and it changes him. Every action has an opposite equal reaction.
I'm starting to understand this opposite reaction thing now. Wow. Okay. Well, that's very interesting.